What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, so we are going to continue our coverage over Charles Soule's run on Daredevil, and we pick up with Volume 3. Now, Volume 3 does introduce a new character, and that would be Muse. Now, Muse actually did appear in earlier chapters of Charles' run on the character, but this gives us our first full look of the character to kind of see what is he actually capable of. Could he be an actual challenge for the man without fear? Now, getting into today's storyline, we do pick up 1 o'clock in the morning with Matt Murdock, and we see him going after a random thug and hoping that this thug would lead Matt over to the rest of his gang. Now, this is also Matt reminding us that he just moved back to the city. You see, when it came to Mark's run on Daredevil, he moved Matt over to San Francisco. Now, at the end of that run, we were left to wonder, where would Matt go? Would he stay in San Francisco or would he go back over to New York? And so in the beginning parts of Charles Soule's run on the character, we got our answer. Matt moved back to New York City, which honestly, that is great. But Matt says some things had changed while he was gone. And so this is him just trying his best to get familiar with different areas that he may have forgotten about. Now, the story does jump forward to 3 o'clock in the morning, where we pick up with Matt Murdock reminding us that he is a lawyer again in New York, but now he works for the district attorney's office. But also recently, he had hired his sidekick Blindspot to work in that office. Now remember, Blindspot is a young man from Chinatown who is actually an immigrant, but recently he went out of his way to create a suit that would give him the ability to turn invisible. And so you have Matt going out of his way to train this kid to help this kid bring down a certain gang leader known as Ten Fingers. Now, after doing that, you have Blindspot continue on as a hero in New York. But here comes the problem. You see, in a recent storyline, Elektra had broke the kid's arm. But recently, the arm has now completely healed up. And so now you have Blindspot want to leave the office so bad so that he is able to go back out in the city as Blindspot once again, to be a hero again. Now, the story does jump forward to 5 p.m. Now, around this time, you have Matt Murdock meeting up with some other co-workers in the district attorney's office. Now, here's the thing, because Matt Murdock got a very nice position for a lot of different reasons. But either way, when it comes to his co-workers, they hate the idea of how he was able to get on, but the position that he was able to get so easily without coming in as a low-ranked person and working his way up. And so sometimes you had different associates kind of do some hazing to him. And it's Matt Murdock trying his best to not get bothered by it, but we can tell that he is very bothered about the idea of how they are treating him. But now we have to shift our focus over to Blindspot. Now, we do learn that Blindspot has shrines set up across Chinatown where people are able to leave notes behind for him to find if they want his help. And so at one of the shrines that he has set up, there was a message left behind for him. And once he's able to read that message, he realized that somebody is asking him to come to a certain location. Now, once he does arrive at that location, he freaks out and he calls up Matt Murdock in a hurry. And so you have Matt Murdock being able to find out where Blindspot is at, to arrive at that location. Now, once he does arrive, you have Matt realize that Blindspot found a painting that was painted in blood. Now, here's the thing, because the Blindspot, he believes, okay, only one person was possibly killed off and their blood was used to create this kind of painting. But here comes the problem. This is a very huge painting, which means you would need a lot of blood. And who in the world has that much blood to complete a size this big for a painting? And so you have Matt say, no, there has to be at least 10, 20, or more people use as a way to create this painting. Now, when it comes to Matt, we already know that he is blind, but his other senses were enhanced. And so when it comes to smell, he can tell us that each person's blood smells differently. And so while he's investigating the entire painting, he tells us, yeah, I'm right. There's no way that only one person's blood was actually used to complete this painting. No, there was at least 113 people who had died and their blood was used to create this. And so now you have Blind Spot and Daredevil wondering who in the world did this. Now, as we dive into the next chapter, there is something I do want to talk about just real quickly. Okay, so around this time in Marvel Comics, Marvel was trying to get rid of the X-Men. Not completely, but just push them to the back burner. And they were trying to give us the Inhumans, thinking that the Inhumans would be able to replace our love for the X-Men. That did not work out very well for them. Now, the reason why I am bringing this up right now, because they will become very important for this chapter alone for this story. Let me explain. So we jump over to Brooklyn, where we pick up with a random Inhuman that's being chased down by some regular humans. Now, around this time in Marvel Comics, you had a thing known as the Terrigen Mist that was going around the Earth. And if you were somebody that had Inhuman DNA and you were hit with that mist, it would unlock your Inhuman abilities or just change your body. Now, when it comes to this Inhuman, he did gain some powers, but his appearance was also changed as well. Now, when it comes to this Inhuman, he's trying to get away from the few humans who are trying to kill him, who look at him as a dangerous person. But he is saved by an unknown character. But after being saved by the unknown character, that person then kills him off and says, I am going to use you for my next art piece. But now we jump over to a character known as Patrick. Now, when it comes to Patrick, he is the owner of the warehouse where the painting was found at. Now, we do see Patrick currently talking to a professor about how much money would he make if he did some kind of showing. But on top of that, how much money would he make if somebody wants to buy the mural off of him? Now, while you have Patrick talking to the professor, he's then confronted by Councilwoman Andrea Pearson. Now, when it comes to Andrea, she came here to ask him to not do a showing for this kind of painting. And the reason why? Because one of the people who had died and their blood was used to create this painting was her niece. Now, when it comes to Patrick, to him, he's all like, why should I care? The painting is in my warehouse. I have the ability to show it off. I have the ability to make some money. Like, yes, it sucks your niece died, but hey, there's money to be made here. And so you have Andrea say, she'll find a different way to get this shut down. So you have her call up the office of the district attorney, where you do have Matt be given the case to find a way to shut down the actual showing. Now, here's the thing. Matt is actually very upset about the idea of the power that the councilwoman is using as a way to get her way, because you do have Matt meet up with Foggy Nelson. Now remember, when it comes to Foggy and Matt, by this point in Marvel Comics, they are no longer friends, because Matt did something to make the entire world forget that he was Daredevil. But the only person he let remember was Foggy, and Foggy hates the idea that he is the only person who is able to remember that Matt is Daredevil. But you have Matt coming to Foggy to ask, hey, why do I feel like what I'm doing here is completely wrong? Because again, he says the councilwoman is using her power to make us work to find a way in the court system to shut down the showing. But here's my problem. If we do this, what will stop her to go after different people that she just has a disagreement with? Now, when it comes to Foggy, he honestly does not care at all. And so he walks away. But Matt has no choice but to do his job. Now later that night, Matt is called up to go to another crime scene in the Bronx. Now he does bring Blind Spot alongside with him to be his eyes. But once you have Matt arrive at that location as a lawyer, he comes to find out that our mysterious killer has killed off a set of Inhumans and then have each one posed in a different kind of way to show off some new kind of artwork. Now Matt knows that this is going to bring in some more problems down the road. The idea that now Inhumans are being killed off, and the Inhuman Kingdom is going to step in soon and take over this case because now their people are being killed. But here comes the next problem, because while you have Matt trying his best to investigate this crime scene, he hears someone nearby, and you have Matt leave in a hurry. So you have Matt change into his Daredevil outfit, where you have Matt run across the city and he finds our mysterious killer, and it would be Muse. Muse is there, and he's kind of like, hey, it's me, I'm the killer, what are you going to do about it? Now, when it comes to Muse, he actually has the ability to, well, let me explain. So his body acts like a vortex where he's able to pull in every bit of sensory information around him. And so that can really make it hard for Daredevil to actually target him. Now, their first battle is very short because you have Muse being able to set off a grenade that makes Matt Murdock retreat, but then he realized the grenade was used as a way to give Muse a way out of their battle. And so Matt wonders, one, who the heck is Muse? And two, how is he going to take this character down? Now, once you have Daredevil arrive back to the crime scene, he comes to find out the crime scene has now been officially taken over by the Inhumans, because the last crime scene was their people being killed and used as a way to create some kind of art. Now, we kind of find out that the crime scene has been taken over by a guy known as Frank McGee. Now, Frank McGee is part of the Inhumans police force. Now, something else I do want to mention about Frank is that he has a photographic memory thanks to his powers. You see, once he's able to take off his glasses, there is a huge flash of light. With that flash of light, he now takes in the entire crime scene into his mind, where he is able to look at the crime scene in all different kinds of angles. Now, getting back to the case, when it comes to Matt, he finds out that yes, this crime scene is no longer part of his case. And that is a problem, because Matt was hoping to use this crime scene as a way to figure out more about Muse and how to find him, but also how to stop him. And so he does ask Frank, hey, can you at least share the information you guys found when it comes to this crime scene? And Frank says no. But if you want that kind of information, you have to talk to someone who's higher up than me. Now you have Matt head over to the New Atelian, the home of the Inhumans. Now around this time in comics, Medusa was in charge of the entire kingdom. Now Matt knows Medusa. They had fought for many years in comics alongside with one another. And so Matt knows, hey Medusa, you know me, I know you. Now, she knows Matt as Daredevil. And so once he does arrive, he's hoping that she'll be able to share any kind of information that her people find from the last crime scene with him. Except she tells Daredevil, no. Now, Daredevil has no idea why she's not agreeing to share any kind of information at all. And matter of fact, she does not explain anything to him at all on why she is not going to share anything over to him. Now, Frank does pull Matt to the side and take him outside and say, listen, the reason why she is not going to share any kind of information at all, because she has to show that she is a strong queen. once word got out that somebody out there is killing off Inhumans, it showed a weakness in her rule over the entire kingdom. And so now she has to show that she does have the ability to protect her people from any kind of harm, especially a random human that's going around killing off Inhumans for some kind of artwork. And so Matt agrees that why Medusa is doing this, but at the same time, he feels like if he is able to work with her, they can find the killer a whole lot faster. Now, out of nowhere, Matt does get a call from Blindspot. And once again, Blindspot is freaking out. And you have Blindspot saying, hey, Daredevil, so I found Muse. He's currently attacking the courtroom and he has a judge as a hostage. I need you here to handle this kind of situation. And so it leads into Blindspot wondering what to do here, because he was just working in the courtroom as a regular person. But now he realized that this has turned into a hostage situation. Now, he does call up Matt, and Matt tells him, do not do anything at all, because Matt realized that Muse is on a whole complete different level than anything else that Blindspot has seen so far in his superhero life. He knows if Blindspot tries to go after Muse, most likely he is going to lose. Now, oh man, that rhymed actually. Either way, when it comes to Blindspot, he hates the idea of seeing innocent people being involved in some kind of killer's dream of creating some kind of artwork, because he wants the judge to complete his next piece. And so you have Blindspot say, dude, I have no choice. I have to step in. Now, while you have Blindspot trying to do that, Muse is trying his best to get away with the judge, which he is able to do, except Blindspot is still chasing after him. And right now he sees Muse going into the sewers. Now Matt and Frank, they're on their way over to where Blindspot is at, but unfortunately they're far away. By the time they get to his location, Blindspot and Muse are going to be deep into the New York tunnels. Now we kind of find out why he had kidnapped the judge for. You see, when it comes to Muse, his next art piece is going to involve the judge, but also two cops and Andrea Pearson. Now, when it comes to Andrea Pearson, she was the councilwoman we saw earlier that got the showing of the artwork earlier shut down in that warehouse. And the judge was the one who had approved this actual order. And the two cops, they were the ones who had delivered the order over to Patrick to tell him, hey, you must shut down this entire warehouse. You are not allowed to show off that painting. And so for Muse, he was very upset that his artwork was not allowed to be shown to the public because of this councilwoman, this judge, and the two cops. And so he is going to kill them as a way to create a new piece of art that should be shown to the public. And so you didn't have Blindspot step in to hopefully stop Muse. Now we already know that Muse is on a complete different level when it comes to villains that Blindspot could possibly handle. And Blindspot knows that as well. And on top of that, when it comes to his suit, he needs batteries to actually charge up the suit. That gives him the ability to turn invisible. And so he knows he has no choice here but to go ahead and help out the people to at least get them out of there. Because he knows as soon as he's able to get Muse's attention, he will no longer try to go after the judge, the councilwoman, or the two cops. And so while you have them running a different direction, you have Blindspot go another direction in the tunnels, and Muse follows Blindspot. Now, when it comes to Blindspot, he does find a way out, and he's hoping that he is able to climb to the top to at least get out of there. But Muse grabs him and pulls him back down. Now, when it comes to Blindspot, he leaves his phone somewhere nearby for Matt to find, to hopefully allow Matt to find a way to hopefully find him. And once you have Matt arrive, well, unfortunately, he does find the phone, but he does not find Blind Spot nor Muse. Now, like I said earlier, when it comes to Matt, he is blind, but his other senses were enhanced. And so you have Matt say, you know what? Let me go ahead and use my abilities to listen across the city to hopefully find Blind Spot. And once I am able to find Blind Spot, then just maybe I'll be able to save him just in time. Now, when it comes to Blind Spot, yes, he's being held hostage by Muse, and Muse plans on using Blind Spot in his next big project, his next big art piece. And so you have Blind Spot freaking out, which honestly, he has the right to freak out, but things get even crazier because we kind of find out that Muse was the guy who killed off 10 Fingers back in Volume 1. And remember, we saw it. 10 Fingers tried his best to get away, but unfortunately, he was killed off by somebody. And now we know that somebody was Muse. Now, when it does seem like Blind Spot is about to die, Matt Murdock jumps right in the building just in time to save Blind Spot. Or you would think he would make it in time to save Blind Spot, because right after Matt jumps through the window hoping to save Blind Spot in time, while you have Muse goes out of his way, takes his 2 fingers and plunged them right in the eye sockets of Blind Spot. And so most likely he is now blind. Now, you have Muse try to get away. Now, when it comes to Matt, his main concern is Blind Spot. But Blind Spot tells Matt, no, you have to catch him. He told me that he is holding on to hundreds of people to use for other projects down the road. If we don't stop him now, he is going to kill him. And so Matt has no choice but to try his best to chase down Muse. Now, while trying to do that, Muse is trying his best to use different kinds of things to hopefully lose Matt. But Matt is not going to give up at all. But the story does get wrapped up very quickly, because once you have Matt thinking that he's about to lose Muse, we kind of find out, well, Matt has some backup, and that would be Frank and the police force of the Inhumans. They were able to arrive just in time to have Muse run right straight into them. And so he does go under arrest by the Inhumans, not the NYPD nor the FBI. Now for Matt, that's still a good thing, because at least he was able to catch the bad guy. But the problem is now his sidekick Blind Spot is blind. Like, his eyes were plunged with fingers by Muse. And the question is now, where do we go with this for Blind Spot? What can Matt do to actually help out Blind Spot? But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.